Okay, my friends, you are in Roger's house today. We are talking about biological electronic interactions. All right, very not well understood at all. Really not understood at all. And they were taken back by this new research that shows that the blood cells are tiny electrodes. Well, what is an electrode? What's an electrode? Well, let's just look up what an electrode is. All right, this is as simple as it can be. An electrode is an electrical conductor. It conducts electricity, and it's used to make contact with a non-metallic part of a circuit. Well, guess what we're using as the electrodes? We're using transition metals. You hear what it says? Electrode, making contact with a non-metallic part. So we have transition metals, which are in the blood, making contact with parts that are bones and flesh and all that stuff, which is non-metallic stuff. Now, let's talk about nucleophilic substitution, because that is what the key is. Let's just read it first. But nucleophilic substitution using transition metals will be what we're going to get to uno momento. So let's just read it through and see what it says. It says a team of biologists from the University of Surrey and MRC Laboratory for Molecular Biology and the Wake Forest University École Centrale de Lyon has discovered that red blood cells generate an electric field voltage that appears outside and not just within, meaning each cell acts as a tiny electrode, which we just went through what an electrode does. Now, this is the blood cells. Now, Hughes et al., that means and everybody else, demonstrate an endogenously generated electric field proportional to the membrane potential. Okay, the membrane is the key. Membranes are the key to everything in your body. Most likely caused by capacitive coupling between cytoplasm and extracellular medium, which manifests as charges. They don't know what they're talking about. At this point, they just sort of guessing around why they have these low potential frequencies and conductance, and significantly shows red blood cells can alter the way in which they interact with their surroundings. Obviously, they're giving and taking in molecules all day long. All a molecule is a piece of polar particles. It's a chunk of magnets, really. That's all it is. They're little tiny bar magnets. So if you take one in and give some up, your charge is going in and out. Now, since the experiments conducted by the prominent Italian physicist Luigi Galvani in 1792, it has been known that electricity plays a role in biological functions. Well, every single thing that happens is 100% electricity. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but that is electricity. That's electricity. Electricity. Sound is electricity. Vibration is electricity. Impact is electricity. Scrubbing is electricity. It's pushing to shoving. I have electrons here. I have electrons here. I'm pushing. This is pushing that one. This is shoving back. That is, every time you do that, that is the energy they're talking about. It takes electrons to do that. So what is the role here that we're talking about? It goes down through the whole thing that similar results in other types of biological cells could play a significant role in determining new types of medical treatment. Yeah, we could see, we should be able to see what's transferring in and out of the body, how much reactance is going on. Let's just, because they have some very powerful tools now to see these small scale interactions. And biology often reduced to interactions between big molecules, but cell scale science is an essential area of study. Now, let's just talk about, I don't want to, well, actually it ends up here. By reintroducing the electrical element we are looking for and finding a whole new way to understand how the body works. The findings were published September 30th, 2021 in the Journal of Scientific Reports. Now, so they want to find out a whole new way the body works. Well, I know how the body works right now. The body works through a nucleophilic substitution, and it's by these transition metal elements. They carry things around your body. Let's look a little deeper at nucleophilic substitution. Okay, what I just talked about is nucleophilic substitution, and that's how things turned to stone. That's a goose head, and there's the feather patterns in the goose's head, and there's the neck, right there. If you can make out the anatomy, and it died in a flood, and this side is flat because it was in the flood. Now, the same thing happened with petrified trees. Biology will turn into stone due to this exact process, and this exact process is 100% continuous in your body to keep you alive. It means I am going to take stuff and bring stuff in, just like you go get groceries and you take out the trash. Exactly identical. So here's what it is. This is a nucleophilic substitution is a class of chemical reactions. It's not just one little click and it's substituted. It goes and you end up with the particle you want. But it's not just one little hit normally. It's a series, a class of chemical reactions, one right after the other, in which an electron-rich chemical species, this is the electron-rich side. You see these? These are the side that has all the extra electrons. These are the side that doesn't have electrons. NaCl is a salt, extremely polar molecule, dissolves in water, very aggressive, a lot of electrons on one side and almost no electrons on the other. So it replaces a functional group with another electron deficient molecule known as the electrophile. There's a nucleophile, and an electrophile. All right? There's one comes in and one leaves. This is the way it works. The molecule that contains the electrophile and the leaving functional group is called the substrate. Now, and then it gets in a lot of chemistry, and I understand it pretty well. And it's as simple as it can get. Actually, it's just well. I don't want to drag you through the mud here, but. It's a very, very simple process, and it happens 24 hours a day in your body. Every single molecule, every single cell in your body needs to be replenished with oxygen continuously. If you don't have oxygen for a few minutes, you're dead. Why do you think that happens? Why do you think you die? Because your cells, they don't have any oxygen. Oxygen is what gives you this ability to do all this nucleophilic substitution. It's a little complex, but it's really not all that complex. It's little bits and pieces, and they call them ligands. Hold on, let me see if I can come up with some little better for you. All right, you see here transition metal ion colors. And the reason they're colors is because they have all of these different abilities to attach to oxygen and release it. So what are we looking at here? Titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, all of these transition metals. These are the ones that make you live. If you don't have those in your body, you're going to be sick. Because these transfer everything through. They're transition molecules. Now, here's what it says. Transition metals form colored compounds and complexes. A complex means there's a ton of little particles attached together. And at the end of each one of these particles is what they call a ligand. And it's just nothing more than a pincher. Now, here's what it says. These colors can vary depending on the charge on the metal ion and the number and type of groups of atoms called ligands. That's what I was just talking about. Attached to the metal ion. The ligands are the things that grab a hold and drop off particles. And these are in aqueous solutions. This is watery solutions. The ions form complexes with the colors shown to the right. So that's why in a lot of the mud fossils you see a lot of colors. When you see like the colored desert and so forth, that is the colors of blood. All those colors are from blood. As they stabilize other particles, the electron rich and the electron poor, they come together and they have these colors. Now, electrons are arranged around the nucleus of the metal atoms and orbitals, transition metals. Now, this is important. This is really important. Transition metals, unlike other metals, have partially filled d orbitals. Well, what is a d orbital? A d orbital is a lower orbital. All right, so you've got your nucleus. Let's call this the nucleus. And then around that you have a shell of electrons. When that fills up, another shell starts to grow. When that fills up, another one starts to grow. Well, in the transition metals, that lower orbital doesn't have to fill up. So you get one that's partially filled up, and then you start to fill up another one. But when you start to absorb electrons, you can absorb them way down inside. No other elements will allow that. They have no empty holes. Their holes are all filled up until the only thing you can attach to is the very outside surface. But in these, we can attach deep inside. This makes a whole new ball game for the transition metals. That's why they can drag all kinds of things in and out. They're very, very necessary for any biological movement. And you are at 100% unstable. That means literally every single molecule in your body is in a state of transition at this very instant, or you are dead. What do I mean by a state of transition? I mean it needs more oxygen, it needs glucose, it needs vitamins, it needs new minerals, it needs nutrition, it needs some zinc, it needs some transition metals, it needs all these things, bacteria and all that stuff going on at the same time. And every single molecule in your body is ready to die if it doesn't get its proper nutrition and its oxygen and its vitamins and its minerals and its energy. You're going to die, or you're going to be damn sick. So what do you want? You want to have these transition metals in good shape in your body. And what creates the transition metals? Chemists. Chemists? What are you talking about chemists, Roger? Well, the chemists. The most sophisticated chemists on this planet live in your gut. They're called bacteria. They create enzymes and catalysts, and you just couldn't even imagine what a catalyst can do and an enzyme can do. In 1 second, a catalyst, which is basically an enzyme or created by an enzyme in your body, and that is all done by a bacteria. It just doesn't happen from nowhere. The bacteria says, okay, I'm going to make a catalyst because we got a problem out here. We got to go get some zinc. The guy needs zinc. So it says, all right, we'll make the catalyst and get it out there and break down some stuff so we can get some zinc. He said, well, he needs it quick. He said, no problem. I do this stuff real fast. That particle goes out, and that one single particle goes into the blood and goes, and it breaks down 1,000,000 other particles in 1 second. One particle. 1 second, 1,000,000 other particles are broken down into the components you need for your zinc. And that thing does it over and over and over until it's got enough of what it needs, and then it just goes away. That's elegant, and that is created by bacteria, the most sophisticated chemists that ever existed. And you literally are run, directed, controlled, and you are a product of your bacteria. And your bacteria is a product of your gut microbiome, which is a product of probiotics. And they are now seeing this as the most important thing in your body. And it is transferred through your body, the probiotics and the bacteria that you need to go into these membranes through a highway that they just discovered called the interstitium. And that interstitium is a fluid-filled bag sac that completely saturates your entire body in these membranes, and these particles can flow through these membranes and get to where they're needed, because the bacteria in your body is not one specific type of bacteria. That's it. That's the only place you have bacteria is in your gut. Hell no. Every single membrane in your body has bacteria just saturated in it if you're healthy. And that bacteria creates mucus on that membrane to slime out the stuff and keep the bad stuff out. It creates all kinds of catalysts and enzymes and protective chemistry to keep out the bad stuff. Keep it away from me. I don't want that stuff here. If it comes and I can't slime it away, if it's going to work its way through the slime, I'm going to shoot out a couple of bombs and kill it. That's your immune system, but it's directed by your bacteria. Your bacteria is your immune system. I've been saying this for years and years, and now everybody else is too. It's not just me. It's the National Institute of Health. Everybody is saying, and they're saying it too for the COVID. You should be taking probiotics. Absolutely. It cuts back the morbidity, the mortality, the acute respiratory distress syndromes, the cytokine storms, the time it takes to adapt to the immunity. It's 100% effective at intervening and creating the products you need to create that intervention against attacks. Otherwise, you're just a wide open target. You don't have any slime, you don't have any bullets to shoot, you don't have anything to stop any invaders. They come in, they take over. You're a battlefield. You're a 100% 24-hour-a-day battlefield between the good guys and the bad guys. Your body's all set up to deal with it. Your body is in good shape if it has the bacteria. The bacteria are your troops. You don't have the troops, you're done. The troops have a whole series of different types of echelon. You have bombs, you have slimers, you have chemists. You're just loaded with a factory inside of you. And it's all directed by your bacteria. So that's why I say probiotics, 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 probiotics. I say it 10,000 times. Everybody I talk to, I say, do you take probiotics? I mean, seriously, I start the conversation that way. How's your poop? It's a crazy world. You start a conversation, how's your poop? And that's just to try to help somebody. Okay, so I got sort of a bit off track there, but what we're talking about is this nucleophilic substitution, where we are taking in electron groups and leaving electron groups. That's why they say now they discovered there's electricity outside the cell. They knew there was electricity going on inside the cell, but the leaving group and the arriving group, basically the neutrophile and nucleophile and the electrophile, are the ones that move from electron deficient to electron rich. It's just back and forth. That's the way your body survives. So that was my point about talking about this particular article, that this is brand new research. They didn't even realize. They didn't realize about a nucleophilic substitution is how your body even works. They use nucleophilic substitution, but they use it in reactive chemistry to create products using certain breakdown techniques, which are these leaving groups and the electrophiles and the neutrophiles. Now, but this is really the entire process of life, is this nucleophilic substitution. And they're now looking at it as a biological, enzymatic, catalyst interaction, rather than just something that they really didn't understand. I think they're now starting to understand the body is a chemistry set, and the chemists are the bacteria. I think they've started to realize that now.